Hi, I'm George from Connected Technology. This is a video on our deep dive series into the smart marina systems produced by Connected. As a brief overview, the Connected Smart Marina, what is it? Well, it's a series of modules that we've developed that incorporate software and hardware sensors to monitor and control various facility requirements throughout a marina. Um, we have a fully managed internet system. We have the ability to actually do multi-site control, ability to monitor the loads on boathouse structures, marina management, auto leveling and monitoring of dock levels, thermal imaging, fire detection, gate access control, anchor management, and several others that are under development. This video is really centered around the managed internet. So if we buzz over to the actual demo system that we have here, marina internet is a big problem for many marinas. And there's really two areas of internet that need to be solved in order to get a system that will function with the load that many of these larger marinas or even smaller marinas put onto the system. So there's both the incoming internet connection size as well as the distribution side of the network on the facility. And to have a successful internet system, both of them have to work. So what we've done at Connected is we've developed a system that really addresses both sides of the system, but does it in a manner that's simple for the marina operator to manage and to use. And so basically the first thing we have to do is determine what is the incoming service requirement to support the load that's going to be on the marina. And that's going to vary between marina size, the construction of the marina, whether it's closed boathouse slips or they're open slips, what the physical shape of the marina is, as well as what amount of data and the bandwidth, which is the internet speed that the marina wants to supply to their moorage holders. And so jumping into the middle section here, it gives the marina the ability to set up the parameters of their system. And based on those parameters, it sets the incoming internet service connection size that is needed to support that marina and make sure that it's an internet system that doesn't go down from high usage. So if a marina, basically there's three plans sort of that we're suggesting in this example, but you can expand that if so wish. The marina can expand that. We have a basic plan, which is in this case is saying 3 devices per slip. We're not charging for that internet service, meaning the marina is providing that level of service for free to the boaters. Establishing a per month data limit, so they're allowing 30 gigabytes in this example, and a minimum bandwidth, which is the speed that is going to be delivered to each of those slips. So the plan here is to get a sufficient internet connection coming in, but also distribute that internet connection fairly to all the boaters, so you don't have a single boater that's consuming all the bandwidth because of an online gaming or something like that. The marina also has the ability to create other plans that maybe allow more devices per slip, higher data limit, and higher minimum bandwidth. And they can actually start to charge for those higher plans and recoup some of the money that they're paying monthly for the incoming internet connections. So in this example here, utilizing these plans and the number of slips and that are on each of these plans, it extrapolates out to that we have 1,390 possible devices on the system at any one time, and this is covering a 417 slip marina. Um, in this case, you know, they're recovering $2,100 per month in revenue based off the silver and gold plans that are actually paying money for usage or higher usage. The other factor that comes into this, and this is really, you know, discretionary for a marina, is what we call the peak usage factor. So if we were going in designing a system that, you know, was going to be sufficient at these bandwidth levels and this data level for 100, like for everybody being on the system at the same time, like a July 4th type weekend in this particular marina, you know, then you'd want to have your peak usage factor at 100%. But different marinas, depending on where they are and how they operate, would never, you know, potentially would never likely have 100% of their boaters in the marina at any one time, and 100% of those boaters that are in the marina actually utilizing internet all at the same time. And so what we do here is this gives the marina the ability to put what their capacity factor is, whether it's, you know, 25%, 30%, whatever it is. It then basically, you know, ratchets down the level of incoming service. You know, the distribution side of the system is still set so that everybody has good, strong Wi-Fi access, but you're doing this, you're able to reduce the number of internet connections that you have coming in. If you set it at, say, 30%, you are a little bit at risk on those high weekends of having not enough bandwidth available in the system, incoming on the system, to support the number of boaters that are in there. And so that be a number that the marina has to figure out and may have to adjust over time. And so in this case, we're saying 100% utilization. We want to make sure that we have good internet when everybody is on the system. So that's sort of a peak load. Based on that, 100%, we're saying the capacity that we need based on these different plans and the number of devices allowed per slip and the minimum bandwidth required, we need a bandwidth of 3,740 megabits per second for the system to provide enough data, you know, for everybody on the system if they all are using it at the same time. And likewise, in the data thing, if everybody's using their allowed data every month, you know, it's 14.28 terabytes is required. So based on these examples, the system's saying, you know, we're requiring 16 internet services coming in. And if you hit this button here, it's showing what all those services are. We have the ability to provide high-speed 5G internet service coming in, but we don't necessarily have to use just our service on the system. If you have broadband or fiber coming in or Starlink, all those other carriers can also connect to the system. So when we have multiple internet systems coming in, what we do is we aggregate them together to be a extremely high-speed system with a lot of available data that can be used. And ensuring that there's fair distribution to everybody, it's distributed based on these parameters on what slips are allocated with each of these different plans. On the other side of it, there's also facility internet, which would be your office, shop, your employees, and any IoT devices, which would be like cameras and other devices that are monitoring the marina. Those also have data requirements and speed requirements that feed into what the total available bandwidth and data capacity is. And so it works much the same. You know, you can ratchet down your employees, for instance, to something very slow and very minimal amounts of data, maybe to encourage them not to be on their phones while they're out on the docks. So on the distribution side, we put a lot of equipment in there to make sure that we have excellent coverage throughout the marina. This is a sort of a variation on a mesh system, but it has some additional equipment in there to make sure that any one mesh doesn't become a bottleneck to other meshes when you get this kind of capacity on the system. In this case, this particular marina, it's been deemed that we need 18 access points, 3 load balancers, all this different equipment in here. This equipment is what's called fully managed. And what that means is, the marina facility operator is not responsible for making sure that all these access points and equipment are running at their peak performance. That is actually managed by our staff remotely, and they're constantly adjusting these access points and load balancers and stuff to make sure that there's not environmental interference. They're not interfering with each other, and if there is a problem, we'll probably know about it much before anybody at the marina ever would, and can actually pre-provision a replacement access point, for instance, and send it to you. Just plug it in and it's good to go. In here, there is the ability for the marina operator to actually hit this R, and it will actually reset all the access points. If they're thinking that there is something slowing down, the first thing you probably want to do is just reboot everything, and that's what these buttons here are doing. There are some actions the marina can do as well. They can change the ISP capacity, and it basically sends us a message, and we will discuss with you and figure out how to incorporate another system in there or reduce one or whatever it is you want to do. You have the ability to request seasonal suspensions over certain dates, and then again, when you submit it, we'll be in contact with you to tell you kind of what the your reduction in your fee is going to be. You can suspend ISP services as well as suspend coverage on your actual facility. So for instance, if you only are running your office and shop during the winter, you might suspend all of these other devices out here. So you're not going to have any coverage out on the water, but you still maintain your coverage in here. Then if you are doing actual billing on the silver and gold plan, we can set the billing schedules here, and if your billing system allows it, we can integrate with that and send the monthly invoicing over based on the slip and what plan they're in over to your system automatically. If not, paper bills can be printed that you can distribute to your merge holders however you wish. So this is this page that I've been showing you here is our what we call our global settings for the internet system. Now, when we buzz over to the marina side of it, the management side of it, we have the ability to set the access and stuff locally for a particular slip. So in this case, Robert in slip E24, we can enable him, disable his internet, and then we can go in and see what his settings actually are. And so in this case, we've enabled guest access, meaning we do allow Robert to have a guest and for him to give them internet access, but it counts against his total usage, his bandwidth, and his number of connections that he's allowed concurrently. If your policy is you don't want guests on your system, then knock that off, and he wouldn't be able to invite anybody as a guest. In here, we're showing what plan he has. In his plan, he's allowed 3 connections, 50 gigabytes of data, a minimum speed of 12 megabits per second, but the system will dynamically adjust the speeds based on the number of connections that are currently happening in the marina. So if you only have say 40 people in the marina out of your 400, we're allowing that speed to be, his limit to be dynamically changed to increase his actual usage speed, because there's no reason why not to. If it's still fairly distributed and the system can support it, we're allowing his speed to increase up to 100 megabits per second, and we're guaranteeing that it's no less than 12. this this minimum speed guarantee, though, is based on the capacity of the system supporting, the worst case scenario. So what I'm saying is, if you had say sent this at 30% and you had 50% of your boaters in there using the system, we would not be able to support these minimum bandwidth limits because you just don't have enough incoming service. And that's been a decision that the Marina's made in taking the risk for that. If we're recommending what's the best case to do, it's probably in the 80 to 90% range is probably make sure that you're safe all the time. So getting back over into the other things that we got going on here, and it's saying right now where the system status, the speed is being throttled due to the load on the system. So we're not up at 100 right now. We're throttling it back to 31.2 to make sure that there's fair usage for everybody that's currently in the marina using the system. He's used 15.67 gigabytes of data so far this month, and he currently has 3 connections, which is his limit on the system right now. Over on the right-hand side here, we have the current connections that are associated with slip E24. So we have the owner slip, he has an authorized user, and he also has a guest user on the system right now. The owner has the ability to terminate any of these connections for a short period of time. And the reason the owner of the slip has the ability to do that is if, the standard case where, the family comes to the boat, mom and dad are busy getting the boat ready and untied, and the kids all are on the internet. And so when he wants to start using the internet, there's no available connections for him. So we allow the owner the ability to knock the person off for a few minutes so that he can get his own devices on there. The owner's devices, to make sure that it's easy for him to continually connect to the system, we are recording the MAC addresses of the actual device for the owner. And when he comes onto the property and he's picked up by one of the access points, it will look for this MAC address, and if it's approved, it will automatically connect him. He doesn't have to do any of his passwords or any of that kind of stuff. The authorized users are people that the owner has authorized to be on his internet connections, more kind of long term, so family members, those kind of things, where guest users are more short term, and they're granted access only for a short period of time typically. You can look at the usage history of this particular boater, year over year, month to month, that kind of thing. And then also we mentioned that the billing, if they're on a paid plan, which the silver plan is in this case, it's showing the billings and whether it's been invoiced and paid. And so the status stuff, invoiced is a status that comes from our system, but whether it's paid or not would be only relevant if it has a connection to your accounting system that can feed back the information to our system. So that sort of is how the internet system works at the marina level. There is another internet product that we also do, which is termed the mobile marine internet. And so this is a 5G high-speed device, with 500 gigabits of available data that can actually be mounted in the boat. So this is more for boaters that want to leave the marina and have internet out on the lake or offshore. Probably about 20 miles offshore is about the extent of where it'll reach in most places. But it gives them, onboard internet. And so what this is in here is the marina has the ability to sell them the device, the plan, and if they want to add a new account, they can just hit a button here. If they're a moorage holder, it will automatically bring in their information from their slip. So all their sort of contact information for their account. They enter in a SIM number, the device serial number or IMEI number, and they submit it, and then it will automatically transmit to us, and the account will be enabled, and it'll be functioning within 1 to 24 hours, depending on how many requests we got at any particular time. So that's another method of getting high-speed internet, for whether it's a super high usage person or somebody that wants to use the internet not in addition to when they're at the marina. So we're going to continue this series of videos and start to go through some of these other modules that you'll see listed on this side menu here. So keep posted. Thank you.